This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Phatts and the non-genetically proven Sun. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There is nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching or participating in the show. It is a free-for-all. Commencing at the siren, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Phatts TV on this Thursday night, March the 25th, 2021. Day 376 of 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Something like that. It's getting flattened slowly, although numbers are back on the rise again, or so they say. In some states.
Florida looks fine. Texas looks fine.
Actually, that's where numbers are going up. Florida, New York, New Jersey, supposedly numbers are going back up. Who knows?
And seniors are still not allowed in the blue and the white game, you know? It is what it is.
So joining me as always in the upper left-hand portion of the screen, coming to you live from his underground bunker in Center County, Pennsylvania, the non-genetically proven Sun. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
So I'm going to go off camera for a second and you talk because I think I'm zoomed in too far on me. So you talk for a second.
Well, I spent all day outside. We golfed. Shot an 89. All right, yeah, we beat my last score by 1. And then I disc golfed too. And that's what I did today. I'm sure this guy sat inside all day and typed away on his computer, had a couple meetings, I'm sure. And yeah,
that's pretty much exactly what I did.
And did other stuff. Maybe watched The Price is Right this morning or Fox Business for a little bit.
I had on The Price is Right, yeah.
Stocks are kind of doing nothing for our stocks.
Actually, I, this morning, put $2,000 into my account.
Did you buy GRNQ yesterday when it was at $250?
Did not buy anything today with it.
Oh.
So, I got something I'm keeping my eye on. But right now, the market is in a little bit of a downward trend.
A little bit.
So I want to wait till it bottoms out.
I think I made about $9 today.
And starts to show an upward trend. I see Dogecoin is back like low again.
What's that?
Sitting around a nickel.
That's not low. It's been what it's at for the last month.
No. Last, 4 days ago, it was up around 6 cents.
Okay, but it's been sitting between 4 and 6 for a while. I want it to go back down to 1.
Bitcoin was somewhere near 50,000. That's really fallen off.
Yeah, that was up in the 60s.
Let's see where that's at the moment, because I got that right here. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. According to the non-genetically proven Sun, Biden had a press conference today.
That he did. It lasted about an hour and 15 minutes, I heard.
So in other words, they were pre-planned questions. He knew all the questions in advance, of course.
Most likely.
Dogecoin is at 5.14 cents. So that's actually gone up a little bit today. Bitcoin is at $52,002. By the way, Penn was briefly under $100 today.
Wow.
That's starting to get into bargain territory. Not bargain for us to get back into. But
bargain for millionaires, maybe.
Mara is down to 34. I could have got in at right at 9:30. I saw it open at 29. I've been waiting for it to dip below 30 to get into Mara. For those of you that don't know, Mara is a Bitcoin mining company. They mine Bitcoins. So yes, the president had a press conference today. I don't know anything about it, so we're not really going to talk about it. But, I mean, honestly, what they're doing to him, meaning his handlers, to me, it's elder abuse. I mean, the guy is just not fit anymore. I mean, he was never the sharpest, tool in the shed. He was one of the more dull tools in the shed. But at least he had his wits about him. Now he's just, at some point when you become old, you just lose it. He's lost it.
Well, we knew the whole plan was to get him in office and evoke the 25th Amendment, and whether they want Kamala as president or and have Pelosi as president. It's one of the two. We don't know which one yet, but I'm sure we'll know within the next year who they want as president.
I'm sure we'll find out. It's Kamala.
Because obviously, the American that isn't just a Trump hater, basically, knows that he doesn't have his wits and he has no idea what he's doing.
That is
Anyone
true.
who has a brain could realistically know he doesn't really know what he's doing. I mean, the man fell down on steps 3 times. And then they blamed it on wind.
Yes. I would play the video that I posted.
Oh.
But it'll probably get taken down because of, violence or something.
Yeah, probably.
I have a video of Donald Trump hitting 3 golf balls, and they hit Biden as he's climbing the steps. It's actually a really funny video if you're into that stuff.
Hey, Donald Trump has a very nice golf swing for an old man.
For an overweight old man, yeah.
Yeah. For an overweight old man, he could swing the club.
He can. So how about we get to the music bracket first?
The music bracket.
The music bracket.
The sitcom bracket.
The sitcom bracket.
It's still not the music bracket.
Yeah, I'm because the last one we did was music, and it just kind of goes. So it's forever going to be the.
Do another music bracket. Maybe you want to do the rap music bracket.
Sure.
So Low can win. Your favorite song.
So what could win?
Low. Yeah, because I remember you were very excited about that song.
So here's the bracket, and we'll enlarge it a little bit. We're down to the final 32. So let's start in the upper left with the MASH bracket. It is the MASH. It's now the Monster Mash. The Monster Mash. Not that
No,
MASH.
it's not the Monster Mash.
Not that MASH. So we had the number 1 seed MASH going up against the number 9 seed, the Jeffersons. Well, we're moving on up to the spinoff of All in the Family. George, Wheezy. I'd like to be named Wheezy. Lionel. Yes. Florence. We all know MASH about the Korean War. I like the older MASH episodes more than I liked the newer MASH episodes. Like when Henry Blake was on the show. Trapper John. By the way, you have to watch the message board while I got this up.
Got it.
All right. So, who do we think won and is moving on to the Sweet 16 in MASH and Jeffersons? By the way, the vast majority of our votes, I think, came from college students. So, you never know how college students are going to vote.
I tried to get it out there to get as many votes as I could.
Yes.
I would probably say the greater part of a couple hundred, maybe even a couple thousand people saw it. But I still like MASH in this one.
You still like MASH, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the vote was 67% to 33%.
Yeah, I still like MASH.
Moving on to the Sweet 16. Oops. MASH.
Because even people my age should know what MASH is because their parents most likely watched it. Whether they actually watched it themselves, they'll definitely know what MASH was.
MASH. Moving on. So they will either be taking on the winner of the 4 seed, the Golden Girls, or the 5 seed, the Muppet Show, which, they want to ban certain episodes of. I don't see them wanting to ban certain episodes of the Golden Girls.
I'm sure it's probably worse.
Actually, that was a very funny show. My grandfather liked watching it. Betty White, we played a clip one time of Betty White on the Match Game.
What?
We
did.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Back in the 70s when anything went. I forget what he said, but he said something sexual to Betty White, and it's like I've had her or something like that. He said something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yes, it was very funny. And the Muppet Show, Jim Henson Muppets, Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Gonzo, and whatever guest star they had that night. So, interesting matchup, 57% to 43%.
Knowing who the possible field of who's voting, I like the Muppets in this one.
More, basically both of these were 80s, in the 80s. The Muppet Show may have started in the late 70s. I really don't remember. I remember watching it when I was a kid. Moving on. The 5 seed.
A lot of these I'm going to probably favor, unless it's like a really low seed, favor which one might be more recognizable to people of my age between 20 and 30.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they might have a little edge here, assuming that's who was voting. We're not, obviously we don't know for sure.
Yes. All right, so we got MASH against the Muppet Show.
I think it could be a close one.
Depends upon who's voting.
Right.
If people my age are voting, it won't be close.
No, MASH would kill them. But if it's a mix,
yeah,
I could see the Muppets keeping it close. I don't think they'll be able to win.
Yeah. So moving on, we got the 3 seed, the Andy Griffith Show, 50s and 60s type show. Whenever I say 50s and 60s, that means I don't know if it was on in the late 50s or the early 60s. So I'm just saying them both. I think it started in the 50s. Going up against another 80s sitcom, The Facts of Life. The Facts of Life with Edna Garrett. Basically, it was girls in an all-girls school, basically. A lot of girls. Yeah. Not a lot of testosterone on that show. A lot of estrogen. Lots of estrogen. Tootie, Natalie, Joe, Blair, Edna. And then later on, after they graduated, they all kind of, Edna opened up her own, dessert shop or something like that, and they all ended up working for her. And
oh.
The Andy Griffith Show, typical 50s and 60s, Ron Howard. A young Ron Howard who would later on star in Happy Days, who's on in the bracket a little later, coming up. So, do we have an upset? Does the 6 seed, The Facts of Life, move on to the Sweet 16, or does the Andy Griffith Show take it? The vote, by the way, the vote, 67-33.
This is a tough one for me to know, because, if I just take my perfect intuition, I don't recognize either of them.
Yeah.
Unless I knew about the bracket, I wouldn't really know which either of them is. So I'm gonna say the Griffith Show.
You think the Griffith Show's moving on?
Sure.
I will tell you, I would be willing to bet that the Andy Griffith Show was the more popular show.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. The 3 seed. Andy Griffith Show. Who are they going to be taking on? They will either be taking on the number 2 seed, the Honeymooners, or the number 10 seed, Three's Company. Honeymooners was only on for 1 season. 1 season. But it made like 39 episodes or something like that.
Yeah.
It's for those of you my age or older that actually watched the Honeymooners, it's shocking that they were only on for 1 season. By the way, the star of that show, Jackie Gleason, he was in a movie a little later that has one of my favorite lines in it. He was the one that said the line. There is no way you could have come from my loins. When I get home, the first thing I'm going to do is punch your mom in the mouth. Smokey and the Bandit.
That's pretty funny.
Three's Company, 70s, late 70s into early 80s. Jack Tripper, played by, what's his name, who passed away about a decade ago, I think. Basically, he pretended to be gay so he could live with 2 girls, Janet and Chrissy, and then Chrissy left the show and there was some other girls that came on the show. Because back then it was verboten for a heterosexual man to live with a heterosexual woman if they were not a couple. Basically. They went to was it the Regal Beagle a lot? That was the local bar. The Regal Beagle. The Regal Beagle. So, do we have Jack Tripper moving on? Or do we have Jackie Gleason with "Gonna send you to the moon, Alice"? Or however he said it. Bang, zoom. 72 to 28%. 72
like
to 28.
the Honeymooners here.
So you're thinking the Honeymooners are moving on.
Yeah.
That would be great, wouldn't it? It's a
no, yes,
shame it's not happening.
Hey, 10 seed, all right. Hey, this is like the regular March Madness bracket.
The 10 seed.
10 seed making a run.
Three's Company knocks out the 2 seed, the Honeymooners. Which is a shame. I would have liked to have seen the Honeymooners. Move on. I like the Honeymooners. So moving down to the Happy Days bracket, speaking of Ron Howard. Happy Days. So, Happy Days, 70s show about the 50s, basically. Family, the Cunninghams, living in Milwaukee. Of course, they were Green Bay Packer fans, of course. For those of you that don't know the early episodes of the show, they actually had 3 children. Richie had an older brother who was in college. Then they just kind of erased him off of the show. They took him like, he's gone. But he had the Fonz. I saw a clip of this show the other day with Leather Tuscadero singing "Do the Fonz." It was a dance. Do the Fonz. Going up against a spin-off of Happy Days, the number 8 seed Laverne and Shirley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shamil, Shamazel, Haas and Pfeff Incorporated. Still remember all this stuff. Again, it was on 40 years ago, so I remember it. Yo, pay attention.
I am paying attention.
Is there anything on the message board?
No.
Come on, people. Oops, I didn't take the numbers out of all of these. My bad.
The percentages?
Yeah. And then, because then I wrote them down on the paper.
Oh.
So, Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley was 92% to 8%. That should tell you all you need to know about who's moving on.
I like Happy Days.
Wouldn't it be cool if I said Laverne and Shirley is moving on?
That would be kind of funny.
Happy Days.
But Happy Days is recognizable to people younger than 30.
Yes. So now we come to the 4-5 seed. The Wonder Years. Fred Savage and Winnie. I forget what Fred Savage's character's name was. I never really watched the show. But everybody thought Winnie was pretty. I never understood why I didn't think Winnie was pretty at all. Going up against poor Al Bundy.
Best actor ever.
Ed O'Neill. Al Bundy just could not get a break in life. Except the day he scored 4 touchdowns in a football game.
Yeah.
That was his break in life. Married to the redheaded beast, Peggy. I know this is probably the one show on here that you really know the most.
Yeah, definitely.
You can still find these episodes all over TV, especially the higher channels.
You could probably find them on YouTube pretty easily if you really want.
Yes, you can. 62 to 38%. Do we have Married with Children moving on, or do we have an upset and the Wonder Years is moving on?
It's got to be Married with Children, right?
I know you so want it to be.
That would be nice.
You do. And it is.
Yay.
Married with Children.
It's not like I gotta face Happy Days. That's gonna be a tough one.
Is moving on. Married with Children. So another 1-4, and up here we had a 1-5. Okay. So now we got the Beverly Hillbillies against the Brady Bunch. We all know the Brady Bunch. Probably one of the more well-known sitcoms coming out of the 70s. It's a story of a lovely lady, who is bringing up 3 very lovely girls. All of them had hair of gold, like their mother. The youngest one in curls. It's a story of a man named Brady, who was busy with 3 boys of his own. There were 4 men living all together, but they were all alone. God, how do I remember all this crap?
I don't know.
And Ann B. Davis is Alice. I even know the actress' name. Ann B. Davis. Going up against the Beverly Hillbillies, I believe that was out of the 60s. Basically, they were hillbillies that struck it rich, and they moved to Beverly Hills. So can you imagine hillbillies living in Beverly Hills?
No. I can't.
Very interesting. 77% to 23%. Again, that should probably tell you all you need to know.
Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch. Moving on.
Again, another really recognizable show.
Brady Bunch.
To all generations.
So now we got the 2-7 matchup. This, I thought, was going to be an interesting matchup because both shows were from the 80s and both shows were very, very funny. The Cosby Show was the 5th team in our bracket. They could have been a number 1 seed, but we knocked it down to a number 2 seed. Why?
Because Cosby's in jail.
Because Cosby's in jail. So that means they were going up against what we considered as the weakest number 1 seed. That's how we did it. We did it the first 1 through 4 was kind of like a snake kind of thing. Anyway, Cosby Show, family, yes, the Huxtables. He was he delivered children. He was like a, he delivered babies. She was a lawyer. They had lots of kids. Lots of kids. That was the number 1 show in the 80s for quite a while. Because it was very funny. And then you have Night Court. You have Judge Harold T. Stone. Basically about a courtroom in New York City. And all the antics. Very funny show. Extremely funny show. 68% to 32%. Do we have the upset?
God, I hope so.
Why? Why don't you want the Cosby Show moving on?
He's in jail. Go away. But no, he probably won.
This bracket's all chalk.
Boring bracket.
All chalk. 1 through 4 seeds. 1 through 4 seeds. So, up top we go. Into the I Love Lucy bracket. Lucy. 50s. Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz. Very funny show. Lucille Ball was probably the best, definitely the best female comedian of her generation, without a doubt. And maybe several generations afterwards. Don't really know if she's ever been equaled. Bump your camera up just a little bit if you're going to sit forward like that. They were taking on Sanford and Son, the number 9 seed. About a father and son, basically junk dealers. Lamont and Fred. So, I Love Lucy or Sanford and Son? Is I Love Lucy going to send Fred Sanford to meet Elizabeth up in heaven, his dearly departed wife? I'm coming, Elizabeth! I'm coming! I would sing the song to Sanford and Son, but there was no words to that song. It was da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. 88% to 12%.
Lucy.
I Love Lucy. Moving on.
Very recognizable show, even to generations of now.
Yes.
Because we all know that's one of the most popular shows ever.
Yes. Then we have a 4-12 matchup. We have Leave It to Beaver, Jerry Mathers as the Beaver. 50s, 60s-ish. Basic your 50s and 60s sitcom, you know. All about the family. All about the family.
And dry humor.
Yeah. The Benny Hill Show beat Family Ties, which was a little bit surprising because Family Ties was a hugely popular show in the 80s. In fact, I think Family Ties got a little ripped in this bracket being a 5 seed. They could have been a 3 seed, but that's not how the cards fell. Benny Hill Show, basically skit comedy, was on for 19 seasons.
One of your favorite shows.
One of my favorite shows. Watched it with my grandfather. Was on at 11 o'clock every Saturday night, assuming I could stay awake that long when I was a little kid. Because at 11:30 was Racing from Yonkers. Yonkers. What?
Horse racing.
Horse racing from Yonkers. So, we discussed the Benny Hill Show at length on our last show. We said it was what did we say? What kind of show? It was like a cult show. It has a cult following to it. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So, does the cult following continue? 61% to 39%. Is the 12 seed moving on, or does the favorite, the 4 seed, continue?
I like underdogs, so Benny Hill Show.
We would love to put 12 here. Unfortunately, we're not.
Boo!
I was very disappointed in this. This is the one I really was hoping to see. The Benny Hill. I was hoping to see the Benny Hill Show make it through.
I don't know if either would beat Love Lucy though.
Probably not, but Benny Hill Show, British skit comedy, was really funny, and it had a lot of scantily clad women in it.
Hey, it's like what's it called? The coconuts.
Yes.
Python.
Yes. So, down to the bottom we go. We got the 3 seed, the Mary Tyler Moore Show. 70s show. Funny. Very funny. Against Welcome Back, Kotter. Gabe Kaplan played Mr. Cotter. He graduated from a school. He left. He came back to be a teacher at the school. Well, amazing. I don't remember the school's name. Wow. Holy crow. I don't remember something from the 70s.
Wow.
Somebody help me out there. What was the school's name in Welcome Back, Kotter? Was it Roosevelt High? Roosevelt High. Somebody look that up, including you, non-genetically proven son.
I'm on it.
I don't think it was Roosevelt High. This gets me. I can't remember this. I remember the song, Welcome Back.
James Buchanan High.
James Buchanan High. Oh, Jesus Christ. He was a president from Pennsylvania.
Exactly. But he was really, really bad.
One of the worst presidents we ever had. The only president from Pennsylvania, but one of the worst presidents we've ever had.
Didn't he lead us into, like,
the Civil War.
Civil War.
Basically. Welcome Back, Kotter was a very funny show. It had a very young John Travolta in it. Who doesn't like John Travolta? Went on to play in Grease. You know, they want to eliminate that movie now.
Yeah.
And then he went on to play in Pulp Fiction and Face Off. Excellent actor. Does the 11 seed spring the upset here? 66% to 34%. Does it do it?
I like upsets, so yes.
No.
No.
As much as I wanted to see it, no.
No.
That sucked. All right. So, I want to talk about the next matchup for a second. We have the 10 versus the 15. So, obviously, a lower seed is coming out. Now, we did the first round of this before the NCAA tournament started.
Right.
Because we ended the first round 1 week ago tonight. And this should have been an omen of things to come. Why am I saying that? So we had the Monkeys beat Make Room for Daddy. Make Room for Daddy.
In the very same spot.
In the very same spot was Ohio State.
Killed Ohio State.
Yep, that very same spot was occupied by Ohio State. And they lost to Oral Roberts.
And Oral Roberts beat Florida.
Yes.
Go Oral, make the Final Four. Let's go.
So, is that a harbor of things to come? Does the Monkeys beat Hogan's Heroes? So, Hogan's Heroes, very funny show about POWs during World War II in Germany. Basically, they won the war out of this POW camp. With Sergeant Schultz, I've seen nothing. I kind of have the girth of Sergeant Schultz. Oh. I've seen nothing. And then with Colonel Klink, he wore the glass thing over his eye. Very funny show. Bob Crane, horrifically murdered. Richard Dawson was in that show. Richard Dawson went on to... He was on the Match Game. He was probably the most famous person on the Match Game. And then he went on to do Family Feud. The Monkees was a musical show. Musical sitcom show. Fun fact, I said it before, those were all actors. They were not singers. So they actually had to learn to sing on the show. What are you looking at? All right. So, 10 verse 15. Who's moving on? This was the closest matchup of them all. And it really wasn't all that close. 59 to 41%. So I'm going to put a number 1 in here because it's either a 10 or a 15.
Oral Roberts.
Oral Roberts. So he's saying the Monkees. Hey. Nope.
I just listened to the I see nothing. That's pretty funny.
Oh.
I just wanted to look it up quick because I was looking up Sergeant, whatever his name, Roberts.
Schultz,
sorry. Yeah, you have his girth.
So we got we got the 1, the 3, the 4, and the 10.
Go 10 seed.
I think Hogan's Heroes could beat Mary Tyler Moore Show. I actually think.
But we predicted at the beginning, I Love Lucy's got a pretty easy bracket. And I still think she's got a pretty easy bracket.
Yeah, she'll handle Jerry Mathers as the Beaver. What would Jerry Mathers think if you just went, "What? Hey, Beav!" Jerry Mathers as the female, slang term for a female body part. The Beaver. Yes, Jerry Mathers. Down to the All in the Family bracket. So we got All in the Family against Different Strokes. We had a bunch of 9 seeds. Did all the 9 seeds win? Sanford and Son. Different Strokes. Nope. Laverne and Shirley was an 8. So we had 3 9 seeds and 1 8 seed. So we got All in the Family against Different Strokes. All in the Family, classic. 70s. Classic. This was our number... Was it our number 2 or... This was, I think, our number 2 ranked all time.
Yes.
Yes. And I Love Lucy was 3. Yes.
Yeah.
Classic. Nothing needs to be said about it. Archie Bunker. Meathead. Rob Reiner. Meathead. Sammy Davis Jr., best episode ever. You told your roommate you're watching it tonight.
Yes, we got a lot. Because he's never heard of it. He's never heard of all of it.
The sitcom that would never work today.
A fun fact, this was probably our least voted on match.
It was. It was one of them. Yes.
It was weird.
Yes.
It's like some people just, if they didn't know either show, didn't vote on it. Which I guess is fair.
Yes.
Because my one friend said he didn't want to skew the vote because he didn't know either.
Uh-huh. So
I guess that's fair.
Different Strokes was an 80s sitcom. May have started in the late 70s with a white guy who adopted 2 black children.
That wouldn't work today either.
A rich white guy.
That really wouldn't work today.
I believe the black children were his housekeeper's children and she'd passed away. I think that's how it worked.
Okay, maybe it could work today.
And they had a daughter. He didn't have a wife. I guess his wife must have died. He had a daughter who in real life became like a druggie. Shame. Dana Plato. Plato, is that how you say her last name? Became a druggie in real life. Shame. Now, the vote in this was 67 to 33. And I will say this right now. Out of the 4 matchups in this bracket, 67 is the lowest one.
Wow.
Yes. So it worried me because, again, if a lot of these people that were voting were college-age kids, there was a chance that we could have had a number 1 seed go down. Did we have a number 1 seed go down?
Hell no.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you willing to stake your reputation on it?
Sure.
All in the Family.
Anyone who remotely would know that obviously would vote for it.
60.
And I feel like a lot of college-age students would have heard of it.
67 to 33. If you showed the last, minute of the episode with Sammy Davis Jr., everybody would have voted for it.
It's true.
Taking on, we have the 5 seed against a 13 seed. We had a 13 beat a 4. And I believe this is the bracket where Purdue went out as a 4.
Yeah, it is. Same spot.
Same spot.
No, Purdue went out in the Oral Roberts bracket.
Ohio State and Purdue were in the same bracket?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This is the spot where Oregon State won, I believe.
Oregon State was a 12 seed.
Who's the 13 seed?
I'll tell you shortly because I have that. That's coming next.
Whoever Oklahoma State played. That's who's the 13 seed. But so they didn't win.
Okay. Well, anyway. So we got Bewitched, 70s sitcom about a witch. Pretty witch. She used to wiggle her nose. That's how she did her spells. She would wiggle her nose. I can't wiggle my nose. Going up against Good Times. A black family. From the 70s. Of course, they were poor. Stereotyping. Shocker. But, for those of you that watched it, it was a hilariously funny sitcom. At least I thought it was. With Dynamite! JJ Walker. So, Bewitched or Good Times? Does the 13C move on 69 to 31%?
I like upsets, so sure.
I know you love upsets. And in this bracket, we don't have an upset.
We don't have an upset. By the way,
as
it was Liberty that was a 13 seed.
Liberty. Against Oklahoma State.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Down here. Full House and Cheers. 3 seed versus the 6. Cheers. Incredibly funny sitcom. It was about a bar, people. The vast majority of the show took place in a bar. A bar. A bar. Who wouldn't like a sitcom that took place in a bar?
I don't know.
I would. Going up against Full House. Ugh. About 3 guys raising a bunch of girls. 3 guys raising 4 girls, I believe it was. Or 3 girls. The Olsen twins played only 1 girl on the show. So it was 3 guys raising 3 girls. They just kind of took the Brady bunch and mashed it together. Kind of.
Yeah.
But you said to me that all your college peeps like no Full House, so Full House is going to win this.
Yeah, because it is.
Full House is going to be the like sleeper in this entire bracket.
Because it is.
I swear to God, if Full House wins this bracket,
Full House makes the Final Four.
God, if Full House wins this bracket, oh God.
Are you going to say it's not a fair bracket?
I'm really hoping Cheers beats it right here, right now. In fact, Full House should have lost to Beavis and Butthead.
No.
Really?
No.
Really? A cartoon sitcom that played music videos.
Yeah. Nah.
That played rock
They're
music
funny.
videos.
They're funny.
That had a gym teacher that got, kick me in the Jimmy!
But Full House is a classic.
That was a funny episode. The kick me in the Jimmy episode.
Full House is a classic.
You gotta find that episode of Beavis and Butthead.
Okay.
The kick me in the Jimmy episode. So, Full House or Cheers? Do we have an upset here? 71% to 29%. Full House or Cheers?
Full House.
Really?
Yeah, Full
Oh,
House.
God, no. It's the bar. I'm telling you, son, a show about a bar moves on.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Ugh, is all I'm going to say.
How mad are you going to be if it makes it all the way to the Final Four?
It's not winning the next matchup.
Yes, it is.
So now we have Taxi coming out of the 70s. By the way, Taxi beat Who's the Boss in the first round. They both had Tony Danza in it. Who's the Boss was from the 80s. Against another classic sitcom from the 70s. Classic sitcom, Gilligan's Island. When I was growing up, when they were in syndication, Gilligan's Island was on right at the same time the Brady Bunch was on. Like, they were on, like, right after each other.
It's a very classic. When I asked a few of my friends if they ever heard of Gilligan's Island, they said no.
Your friends are idiots is all I'm going to say.
But they've heard of Full House.
Ugh. I think they're mixing up the show with cards. With poker. They know what a full house is in poker. They don't know what the show is. If they watch one episode of Full House, they would turn off the TV. But Gilligan's Island, a show, how the hell they had to change the clothes for a 3-hour tour? A 3-hour tour. Skipper, the Gilligan, the Howells, the Professor, Ginger, Marianne. When you were growing up, if you were a guy, that was the classic. Are you a Marianne guy or a Ginger guy? Are you a Marianne guy or are you a Ginger guy? You had to be one or the other, and you had to make a choice.
Which one were you?
Oh, I was a Marianne guy. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. That farmer girl body that she had. Oh, yeah. Dawn Wells. Mm-hmm. Tina Louise was Ginger, by the way. Jim Backus from Mr. Magoo was Mr. Howell. Russell Johnson was the Professor. Bob Denver was Gilligan. Alan Hale was Skipper. And I still can't remember Mrs. Howell.
Yeah, you're definitely a Marianne guy.
Yes. Yes. Definitely a Marianne guy.
The other one, Ginger, looks like a Karen.
Well, she was in the show. She was a movie star. That's why she looked like the way she did. She was always wearing, like every episode, she basically wore a dress.
Yeah,
because she has
hair, short, somewhat.
Yes,
has that like curl to it at the end.
Yes, yes. Although I do like redheads, I will admit it. I like short girls too, though. Dawn Wells was short. So, Gilligan's Island or Taxi, 75-25.
Taxi!
Taxi! See, you know why it's not Taxi? Because they're another sitcom that didn't have any words in the opening music.
Sure.
And basically, the whole opening show was just, you would see like out of the front window of a taxi as it drove around. And then at the end, it pulled into the garage.
As a filmmaker, Gilligan's Island annoys me.
Why is that?
Because they should be wearing the same damn clothes. Whoever the director is dumb. He didn't think through about, oh, this is supposed to be a 3-hour tour. Maybe we should be wearing the same pair of clothes. Now, obviously, they would have, like, different pairs of clothes, but the same thing. Same colors, same exact clothes, just different sets.
In their huts, the Howells had their wardrobe.
Or the cool thing would be is if, like, throughout the whole series, they got more and more dirty and ripped up.
You just want to see some TNA, admit it.
Alrighty then. I'm just saying, as a filmmaker, no, that annoys me.
Any comments yet?
No.
Come on, people.
Said hi. That's it.
Who? What?
Kiana said hi.
Kiana, were you a Ginger guy or a Marianne guy?
What? She doesn't even know.
All right. So now that you looked at the pictures, what would you have been? Would you have been a Ginger guy or a Marianne guy?
Marianne.
Marianne, huh? Okay. So in this,
I don't really care for redheads.
Maybe you're actually not my kid. I mean, I do like the strawberry blonde instead of the straight red. But so we got All in the Family and Bewitched and Full House and Gilligan's Island.
Yes.
Any chance Bewitched beats All in the Family?
Probably not.
And Gilligan's Island should crush Full House.
Yeah, not going to happen.
It probably won't happen.
If we have the same, what we think voting age, Full House will win, and then it will beat All in the Family, and then it will beat I Love Lucy, and then it will beat which one comes out of the other one. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So in this bracket, we got a 1, a 2, a 5, and a 6. Up here, we got a 1, a 3, a 4, and a 10. In the lower left, we had all chalk, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here we got 1, 3, 5, and 10. So we got some, some lower seeds in there.
It's not like this year. Not like the NCAA bracket. Basically throw 6, 7, 12, 13, 15, whatever.
22? 22? What?
22, whatever.
All right, so that is the Sweet 16 in the music bracket. Voting is now open. It will remain open till next Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, when we'll go over who makes the final 8. It better be Gilligan's Island over Full House is all I'm going to say.
Are you going to cry?
No, it just... what? It wasn't even that funny of a show.
Story? You don't like a Loyola College Story?
It was, but it wasn't even that funny of a show. Well, Bob Saget was in it, for crying out loud.
He's just a meme.
Bob Saget.
You have a problem with Bob Saget?
Yes, he wasn't funny.
It wasn't funny.
So, before we get to the NCAA bracket, I finally have some good news about something in my life.
Wait. You had a good bowel movement.
Oh, I have them every day.
Oh? All right.
So I'm going to put up a picture.
You found a use for a white crayon.
No. Except if I was making a picture of me.
You found a penny heads up.
I might have some on the... no, there's a penny on the floor. It's tails.
Oh, bad luck.
There's a dime next to it, though, that's heads.
Hey!
I'm going to put up a picture.
Okay. That's a horse.
This is American Heiress, and I'm talking about the one on the left, not the thing on the right.
You don't like the Moorhead State Equestrian?
No. So last year I bought into some 2-year-old racehorses. One of them being American Heiress, daughter of American Pharaoh. For those of you that know anything about horse racing, he won the Triple Crown a few years ago. Finally, I'm getting one to race. This Saturday on the Florida Derby undercard, American Heiress is running in the 7th race at Gulfstream Park. Scheduled for a 1.16 miles on the turf. Hopefully it doesn't rain.
They moved it to the dirt.
Which she should be equally good on dirt.
And it'd be track condition sloppy.
Or muddy. Or potentially muddy. But I don't know if they want her first race to be on the slop. So we're gonna hope that it's dry and they put her on the turf. But she should, if you guys watched our shows from last year, when I was talking about the 3 horses that I bought, and this was the one I was really waiting to run. Because I think she could be a fantastic horse. Daughter of American Pharaoh. So she should be able to run on the turf or on the grass or on the dirt without any problems. So maybe 1.16 miles might be a little far for her first effort. Maybe. But we'll see. We'll see. Post time is right around 2:30. So you can watch that race and then get ready for college basketball.
I'll be watching college basketball if I can, that is.
Hopefully you'll be watching the race.
Because Saturday we got a big film shoot. 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Well, it'll be more like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Why is that?
When you schedule 9 to 3 in film, expect about 2 to 3 hours more.
Well, what I'm saying is, what are you filming on
Oh,
Saturday?
the ending of our movie that we are shooting, short film. And it's the last about 2 minutes of the film.
Is that the porn you were telling me about?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Obviously, you're not starring in it.
Wow. Directors can make a lot of money in that stuff.
The
There's a lot of money in that.
The actresses make a lot more. Let's just put it that way.
Really?
Not the actors. So that we do have a profession where the women make more money.
Oh, geez, that's a whole conversation.
Yes. Speaking of that, before we talk about the NCAA, let's bring that up.
I have the most simplest answer for this.
Okay, shall we set it up first to say what's going on? So, Megan Rapinoe.
Blech.
We all know Megan Rapinoe. I've put a picture up of her after she scored a goal doing this, holding a Trump flag.
Yeah.
She is not a fan of Trump.
No.
No. She was basically the second person that started to kneel for the national anthem.
And that's when I would have kicked her off the U.S. national team.
Yes. Yes.
You could do that for your club, but do not do that in the colors.
Exactly. I feel this the same way. So she was at the White House a couple days ago, or yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, actually.
It was yesterday.
And she gave a speech on how men make more than women.
Yeah.
Okay, first off, there's laws that protect that. Those that actually have a job. And I don't mean a job of playing soccer.
A professional, everyday, normal job.
Yes. Yes. You can't pay women less for doing the same job that a man does. Unless if it's porn where women make more. I mean, that's just against the law. There's laws set up for this. But the men's soccer team, the American team, by the way, did they beat Mexico last night or not? I know it was 1-0 at halftime. No?
Beat Jamaica today, if that counts.
They played Mexico last night. They turned right around and played another game today?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Actually, last night I think was U23s. Today was regular. Like normal.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I watched the Mexico goalkeeper probably break his wrist last night.
That's great.
He came out. It was off of a free kick, and he came out, and a guy was running, kind of collided with him as he was doing this, and his wrist just kind of went.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Probably broke the wrist. But anyway, Rapinoe's giving a speech. Oh, men make more money than me. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so let's set the stage here. These women are under contract. Sign a contract. They didn't have to sign that contract. In fact, I believe they were offered a couple different deals. And this is the one that they accepted because it was guaranteed money. Where the other one wasn't guaranteed money. It was based on performance and ticket sales and merchandise sales and all that other stuff. If I'm remembering correctly, and I may be remembering that wrong. But this is all I want to say concerning Miss Rapinoe. Maybe, just maybe, you should get up off your knees when the national anthem is playing. And maybe you should practice a little more, Megan. Yes, you may be the best American player right now, or the second best. She's in the top 3. But guess what, Megan? You're not good enough to play over in Europe. Are you? If you were good enough to play over in Europe, you would be over in Europe making more money.
She'd be playing for City, United, Lyon, Tottenham.
Because they all have women's leagues over there. And I'll guarantee you, they're making more money in the women's leagues than the women are in women's leagues over here. Because
I don't hear anybody complaining over there.
They probably get $20,000 per game, and your club team probably gets $20 per game in attendance.
I mean, my explanation for this, I saw a chart. It was this girl and LeBron, same stats. Like they won this many championships, this many MVPs. They're literally exactly the same. She makes $200K a year. He makes $23 million. One simple answer. Which one brings in money?
Yes.
The WNBA, nobody watches it. It's just a fact.
Yes.
Millions of people tune in to watch LeBron James. If nobody watched the NBA, he wouldn't get that.
That's true.
Fine. It's like, here, if you want equal pay, we'll do it for 1 year, but then you're out of a job. Everything would fold after 1 year because it just logically doesn't make sense. They lose so much money.
Yes. Now, supposedly, there was a 3-year span in there where the women's team did bring in more revenue than the men's team. Could it be because they were the reigning defending World Cup champions? And they were doing tours?
And the men's team didn't make the World Cup in 2018, so they weren't really playing for a year. So there was no games to watch.
Right. So, but again, if you didn't sign the guaranteed contract, maybe you would have got paid more. But anyway, I'm all for, in a job, people making the same amount of money. If you have the same experience and you're there for the same amount of time, you better be making the same amount of money. Within 2% plus or minus. Now, if, let's just say a girl is at a job for 20 years doing this, and they hire a guy to do basically the same thing, they better not be paying the guy the same amount of money as they're paying the girl, because she's there 20 years. She has seniority. Obviously, if they're a union shop, that's not happening.
Yeah.
But like me, I'm a salaried employee. I'm an accountant. I'm a corporate accountant. I would hope, since I've been there going on 10 years, if they were to hire a person to work on the same level as I am, whether it be a guy or girl, they're not going to pay them the same amount of money that they're paying me. If I found that out, that would piss me off.
Now, to go back on the sports, now what I don't agree with is how these men want this much money. I wish they would be more like what Tom Brady does. Takes a pay cut and lets these better players get paid more.
Mm-hmm.
And why do you is Brady the best quarterback ever?
Yes.
To argue it.
Yes.
Yeah. But he always has such good players around him because he takes these pay cuts and lets these better players come in. Okay, cool. Mahomes just signed a big old contract, but now they can't have as many good players because of salary cap.
That's right.
So I would rather see these good players take these pay cuts and let these teams be more equal out. Then you wouldn't have these Bucks versus Jets, where some old players maybe take up some of your salary cap that aren't good.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's his name? Frank Gore. I can't imagine what he's getting paid on the Jets, and he's probably taking up a bunch of their salary cap.
Well, the interesting thing is you can't. It's harder to equate the NFL because the NFL, not everything is guaranteed in the NFL.
Okay, so let's do soccer.
No, we can still do NFL because I know where you're getting. Because your boy, Rodgers, makes a shitload of money.
When he doesn't need it.
Yes. And he will not take a pay cut, so Green Bay can't have the best players. Right. By the way, if you've seen all the people that Tampa Bay have signed, it's very debatable that Tom Brady this year coming up may have the best team around him that he's ever had.
And he's had some. He could have a top offense and top defense, 1-1.
Yes. Tampa Bay could be phenomenal this year. Phenomenal.
And it's because these players are like, oh, I'll take a little pay cut. Now we have $2 million worth of cap space. Now we can get in even a couple more players. Yes. Some backups here and there.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I don't know what Rodgers makes. Let's just say $30 million. Why? There is no reason why he can't cut that down to 10. And then all of a sudden you have $20 million. Now that's two receivers you can bring in, or a lineman, and another receiver that you have someone to target.
Yes.
Where
exactly.
I mean, now soccer is different. Like there's teams over like Messi makes over $1 million a week. Believe it or not, he makes like 1.3 million euros a week.
Yeah.
But it's like, take a pay cut, man.
Now, for football, and then we're going to end this and get over to college basketball. For people like Mahomes, I understand him wanting the big contract on his second contract.
Yeah, because he just got off his rookie
contract. So I can understand where he wants a lot of money on his second contract because, again, it's not all guaranteed in the NFL. You will have your upfront signing bonus, but then behind it, it's not necessarily guaranteed. If you get hurt,
injured, game one, out for the rest of the year, he's not going to make a lot of money.
Well, no, what I'm saying is he's still going to get paid that year, but what I'm saying is if he signs a 5-year contract and he gets hurt season 1 and then he gets cut, that other 4 years necessarily doesn't have to get paid out in the NFL. Other sports, it does. And then there's other ways where it still does have to get paid out, and there's certain times where, especially if you get traded, the team that you just got traded from still has to pick up a bunch of your salary. Those are interesting trades.
That happens a lot in soccer, where it's a dual payment and blah, blah, blah.
Yes. All right, so let's get over to basketball.
Basketball, yeah.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Basketball. All right, so let's go over these games, and we're going to look at what the current lines are. We use Barstool Sports as our official lines makers of Phatts TV. So I believe the Saturday games are the right side of the bracket.
I will verify that in 10 seconds.
Well, I know Oregon State Loyola is the first game on Saturday. That I know.
Yes, it's the right side of the bracket.
So, going over to Barstool Sports. Loyola Chicago is a 6.5-point favorite with an over-under of 125.5. As I said to you, as I said on the show Tuesday, when I originally saw it at 7, I plunked my money down right then and there on Oregon State.
Yeah.
I don't see how, especially with the way the Pac-12 is playing, that I don't see how Oregon State loses by as many as they're getting. I put money on Oregon State at +7, and I put money on them to win straight up at plus, I think it was 240 then. I think it's plus 235 now. Over, under 125. If you're going to make me make a pick, I'm taking the over 125. Loyola scored 71 points in both of their games. So you got to figure they're at least good for 65. So if they're good for 65 and I have Oregon State potentially winning the game's going to go over. So, what do you think, young man?
Well, I definitely like Oregon State to cover that 6.5. Straight up there. I actually like them to win the game. I think this is probably, at least on paper, the worst team Oregon State has played. Oklahoma State out of the Big 12.
Yeah.
And we all know how the Big 12 was really good this year.
At least on paper.
On paper. We're not talking about the Big 10. They're trash. I would say I like the over, just because I think this is also Oregon's worst defense they've played, but Loyola has only given up 118 points.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the game could start slow, because God knows the last time Oregon State made the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Loyola hasn't been there since 2014 or 2015, whenever they made that really nice run.
That was just a couple of years ago.
Maybe it was like 2017 or 18 then. But I like the under.
Okay. Now, the under has a better chance if one of the teams have like a double-digit lead for most of the game. In the NCAA tournament, when you're up by 5 with under 2 minutes to go, that's when you start to foul. And we all know how many points can be scored in the final minute and a half of a college basketball game when you're getting fouled all the time.
A lot.
Those could pile up the points pretty quick. And as you said, Loyola has only given up 118 points in their first 2 games. They were ahead comfortably in both games.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they held Illinois to only 58 points. That was very impressive.
Which is very good with how I thought Illinois was going to rely on Kofi Coburn. Kind of like how Iowa was going to rely on Garza.
Yes.
I figured there's no stopping him, but 58 points, it's pretty bad.
Yes. So obviously Loyola plays a good defensive game. But both of us thought that either Tennessee or Oklahoma State could have made a run. And Oregon State handled both of them pretty easily.
I think this is because we really underestimated the pack.
We did.
We didn't like their stats, but it could have been because every team was very competitive. So none of them ever were really ranked.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think that's what it is. But I don't know. No one ever thought some of these other Pac-12 teams would be there still. So
yeah. All right, so now we got in the bottom half Houston and Syracuse. The 2 seed versus the 11 seed. The current line on this game is 6.5, 139.5. Houston is favored. You've heard me say it over and over again. Whenever Syracuse is a 11 or 12 seed, they tend to make the Sweet 16.
And they did.
I liked San Diego State if, Syracuse was, where UCLA is, I would have had them making the Sweet 16. I just like San Diego State, and San Diego State just couldn't defend anybody, and then didn't score basically the last half of the first half.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden when the game was over, they made everything.
Yes.
Because they did have 40-some points until about 6 minutes left.
Yes.
And then they just hit every 3.
So, Houston, one of the better defensive teams remaining, maybe even the best defensive team remaining.
On paper.
Now, I didn't see the game against Rutgers because I wasn't home. You said Rutgers blew the game.
Rutgers was up basically the whole game. They were up 10 with halfway through the second half. And then Houston brought it back, and then it was kind of a back-and-forth game. But Rutgers was up 5 with a couple minutes to go, and then Houston scored to make it 3. And Rutgers was playing slow offense all of a sudden. They were playing let's burn the clock out. It's they were playing they were up 10. It was really strange. And then they made nothing, and they kept taking hard shots because they'd have 8 seconds left on the clock once they started offense, and then Houston just defended the paint, so there was nothing really Rutgers did, and then Houston just kind of kept getting twos, getting those fouls, and they just kind of grinded that game out.
Okay.
I personally thought they were going to lose. I thought they should have lost.
Okay.
Like I told you, they were going to lose in the second round.
That would have been something with an 8, a 10, 11, and a 12.
That'd be cool.
That would have been interesting. So, who do you like in this game?
I like Syracuse to cover that 6.5, assuming Houston doesn't double Boeheim, which I figure they're going to. That kid's been on fire the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he scored against San Diego State, but it was a lot. He couldn't miss.
It was in the 30s.
And then Syracuse played really well as a team against West Virginia. But it's really hard for me to tell. If Houston comes out and plays like they did against Rutgers, they lose outright. I definitely like the over in this game, though. Definitely like the over in this game.
Okay.
I'm almost feeling one of those, not like an Oregon-Iowa game, but I do kind of like high 70s for both teams. I think Syracuse will still be able to shoot well from the arc like they have been, and I think Houston will clean it up and play somewhere in between how they played their first game and against Rutgers.
Okay.
So, who do I like to win? Oh, God. It's kind of a coin flip for me.
Okay, but if you had to bet, you'd take Syracuse.
I'd probably take Syracuse to win outright if I have to pick.
Okay. As much as you like the over is as much as I like the under in this game.
Hey, that's good.
Yes. Although I hate taking unders in tournament time. I hate
taking unders in basketball, period.
I hate taking unders in tournament time, but I honestly think the first team to 62 wins this game.
Oh, wow.
I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game. Obviously, Syracuse has not played a defensive team nearly as good as Houston in the first two rounds. San Diego State, not as good. West Virginia, definitely not as good.
Overrated. Overrated.
I did say they would go out in round 2. Thank you very much. Just
I'm going out to San Diego State.
So, at 139.5, yeah, I'm taking the under. I will not play the side, but if you force me to play the side, I would take Syracuse with the 6.5. Because in a low-scoring game, you favor the underdog to keep it close. But, yeah, I think both teams are going to struggle shooting the ball. Okay. And when I say that, 5 minutes into the game, it'll be 22-16. And that'll be that. To the top.
I think it'll be a really good game, though. I think it will be better than the Oregon State Loyola game.
To the top. We got the number 1 seed Baylor against the number 5 seed Villanova. The number 5 seed Villanova is basically the team, the 5 seed that everybody thought would lose because their best player's out.
Yes.
And they're still in. The line in this game, Baylor is 7.5 with an over-under of 140.
Okay.
Baylor should be able to win this game. Should. That doesn't mean they will. Every now and then, Baylor has the ability to throw in a bad game. I mean, any team has the ability to throw in a bad game at any time.
Just have a bad shooting
but
narrative.
I don't know. Something just tells me that this is going to be either it's going to be really close or Baylor is going to beat them by 20. One or the other is going to happen. I don't like the game. I will not be betting the game. I don't like the over-under. I don't like the side. I don't like the 7.5. I don't have a feel on this game. So I will not be touching this game.
Okay.
Your turn.
Well, let's look. Villanova's played Winthrop and North Texas. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
North Texas played a very good first game against Purdue, as actually a lot of people predicted that would happen. But then they played how we would expect them to play in the second game. Baylor, all right, they played hard for a big whoop, but then they put 76 on Wisconsin. That's really good. As we know, anybody who's watched the Big Ten at all, Wisconsin was actually a very, very good defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
And they scored what they normally score, somewhere in the 60s. They're not that good of a shooting team. They usually play these low-scoring brawl games.
Except against North Carolina when they put up 85, when they hit basically every shot they took.
Yeah, trust me, I know. I personally like Baylor to cover that 7.5.
Okay.
Villanova, sure, they don't have their best player. They don't. So I feel like that's really going to hurt them in this game. because they haven't played anybody. I don't feel like they needed their best player. They need their best player in this game.
So you're telling me that Winthrop isn't nearly as good as like Michael Jordan's North Carolina team?
No.
Or North Texas isn't nearly as good as Patrick Ewing's Georgetown teams, or
No.
Bill Walton's UCLA teams, or Lou Alcindor's UCLA teams, or
No.
no? Okay.
I think Villanova's way in over their heads in this one.
Okay.
I could see them losing by 20, 25. I'm not going to say 30, but it's certainly in the question.
Okay.
So, yeah, I like the under in this one. I don't see Villanova really getting over 60.
Okay. Well, again, if it's a blowout, you have a better chance of the under cashing.
Like, I like Baylor to be up between 10 and 15 at half, and then just kind of cruise the rest of the game.
Okay. The 3 seed Arkansas, your Arkansas Razorbacks.
At least they're good at one sport.
You know, I finished second one year in one of these pools, and I had Arkansas winning the tournament, and they lost in the championship game that year.
Hey,
to UCLA, I believe.
Where I had Michigan State winning the whole thing, and they lost in the first round.
Yes.
Like 3 years ago.
Arkansas, 11.5 point favorite, over under 159. High scoring. So, can Oral Roberts hang with Arkansas?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they can. I think the first game against Ohio State was more luck. I don't know if that was skill. I told you Ohio State was on upset alert. Not really thinking in the first round. But
and you don't think it had anything to do with the Monkeys beating Make Room for Daddy?
Maybe it did. Maybe we have that kind of pool.
Maybe we do.
I think Oral Roberts beating Florida is a really good win. I think that was very unexpected. Because that happens in the first round a lot. You know, low seed beats a big seed, but then they kind of throw in their stinker in the second round. Mm-hmm. Arkansas, I think they've had a somewhat easy road. Colgate, for some reason you like Colgate originally. No, Colgate's a push away. Texas Tech, that's a good win. Low scoring game in that one. Oral has been putting up points. They put up 153. What'd you say the over-under was?
They put up 156, first off. 159.
Sorry, I looked at Ohio State's score, my bad.
159.
159. I don't like that over. I do like the under. I kind of see Oral Roberts maybe throwing in their stinker game now.
Okay.
I think this game's really hard to tell. What was the line?
11.5.
This game's kind of like how you liked Villanova Baylor. Like I would like Arkansas to cover it because I don't really know how Oral Roberts is going to come out. Are they going to come out and play like they have been? If so, they'll cover that. They might even win.
Mm-hmm.
I just see that stinker game. It's got to come soon.
Mm-hmm. So
it's either this round or next round. Like,
would you play this game? And if you played it, what would you take?
I wouldn't play this game. Okay. I don't particularly like
it. You're not going to touch this game. All right.
If you made me take one, I would take Arkansas on the under.
Okay. I will probably not be playing it either. If you recall, in the pool, though, I did have Arkansas at this point. And I had them moving on, beating Ohio State at this point.
So did I.
If you forced me to make a play, I'd probably take Oral Roberts with the 11.5. 159, again, if it's a close game, it goes over. If it's a blowout, it goes under. So it's what really you think it's going to be. So, take each of these 4 teams remaining in the bracket. Who's coming out to the Final Four? Because I believe our next show, it'll be down to the Final Four already. Because I believe the final 8 games start Monday.
Okay, I don't see Baylor having a problem with Villanova. Baylor would kill Oral Roberts. I think that's where their dream would end if they get through.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas, Baylor, that's a tough game. I think Baylor's shooting would end up coming out on top on that one.
Okay.
So I like Baylor in that bracket still.
Okay. I will take Baylor as well in that bracket. Down here.
Oh, God, don't even make me pick that bracket. That bracket? Oh,
yep.
God. Oh, God. I could absolutely see an 11-12 seed Elite 8, though.
You could see any.
Either of these 4 teams have a real shot of being there.
So, tell me who's coming out of this bracket. You don't have to, talk about the game. Just tell me who's coming out of this bracket. Or would you like me to go first?
Syracuse.
Oregon State.
Oregon State.
Yes. Pac-12, baby!
I'll take the Boeheim Dream, Syracuse.
It's Boeheim.
Boeheim. If they were in the left side of the bracket, I might like Syracuse right now to make the final.
Okay.
But they would have to face Baylor and
yeah, they wouldn't make the finals.
Even
if they were on the left side of the bracket.
I'd like them a little bit more than the right. I don't know. They'd have to face Gonzaga, probably.
Exactly.
Actually, I don't know. Ooh, the top left is tough still.
So, speaking of Gonzaga, we'll start with them on the Sunday games. I believe that said 13.5 point favorite. And over-under of 158 over Creighton. You got to admit, Gonzaga looked pretty good their first 2 games.
The first game to throw out for me.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma, that's not bad. It's not great. But I think Oklahoma would beat Creighton. So I like Gonzaga probably to cover that 13.5. And you said what?
158.
158. I like the under in that one. I think Gonzaga will get out to a pretty big lead and just kind of. I think it'll kind of the second half will be very boring.
Okay.
As we see, Creighton only scored 63 against UCSB. They did score 58 against Ohio, but there's what I'm talking about with the
Oral Roberts. They scored 72
Roberts.
Against Ohio.
72, my bad. Sorry. But that's where Ohio threw in their stinker game. They beat Virginia, great win, but then they came out and played like they should have played in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Gonzaga will win this game by 20, and it's going to go under.
Okay. I agree with Gonzaga winning by a lot. And it probably stays under. Especially if Creighton tries to slow the game down.
If they try to slow it down, they could lose by 30.
Well,
I think that
but if they get down by a lot, they're not going to slow it down after that.
Yeah. Their only key to winning this game is having a high pace. But they have to, I'd say they at least have to get out shooting somewhere in the 50%.
Okay.
If they're not in the 50s, forget it.
Well, yeah. All right. So we both like Gonzaga winning this game. Now, for what I think is the hardest game.
Yeah.
Number 6 USC against number 7 Oregon. 2 teams from the Pac. They faced each other once this year, I believe.
Yeah.
And I forget who you said won the game, but that's okay. USC is a 2-point favorite with an over-under of 139.
USC won 72-58 for
Okay.
reference.
Okay.
Two-point favorite, 139. Okay. God, it's a tough game. They both played great last game.
Yes.
I think it really helped Oregon not having to play 2 days prior, so they got to basically sit there and study Iowa. And I think their game plan was to try to get guards out of position. I think that was their main game plan.
And it worked.
And yeah, it worked. But they hit everything. They shot
did.
nearly 60% in most of that game.
They did.
So it's like, if they both teams play exactly the same, I like Oregon. If they could shoot somewhere in the 50s again, I like Oregon here. I don't know if I like them to cut. No, they would cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
They're
Oregon to win. And I like the over.
Okay.
I would like somewhere in the high 80s, almost possibly for both teams.
Okay.
Somewhere in the 80s for both teams, though. I think
Okay.
it'll come down the last 2 minutes.
Okay. For me, this game all revolves around Oregon's game plan for the game. I mean, USC. I mean, we both picked USC to beat Kansas in round 2
We did.
in our brackets, but we didn't pick USC to beat Kansas by 34.
No, we did not. Maybe by 10.
So they gave up 51 to Kansas and they gave up 56 to Drake. So obviously they're playing good D. Oregon only scored, 58 the first time they met them. Now,
Yeah.
I'm usually a fan of take the team that's getting the revenge. Very hard to pick against USC right now in that game. I mean, plus, Oregon, as good as Oregon looked in their game scoring 95 is as bad as they looked when they beat VCU 1-0.
It's funny.
They got a late power play redirect goal to win. So yeah, this game all comes down to game planning. If Oregon could find a way to find open shots against USC, they'll win. The problem is, I'm not so sure they're going to. Iowa, not really an all-great defensive team.
No, not really particularly.
USC, a really good defensive team. So, I will begrudgingly take USC to win this game. I do not have an opinion on the over-under at all.
Okay.
Moving down. The only Big Ten team remaining.
Yeah.
The best conference in America.
Yeah.
So says the experts. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Michigan, Florida State.
Yeah.
We both had this matchup, I believe.
We did.
Okay. Michigan, 2.5-point favorite, 144.
Okay.
I know I picked Florida State to beat Michigan here because I thought Michigan, of all the number one teams, they were the weakest, and they absolutely were the weakest
Yeah.
until Illinois couldn't make a shot against Loyola.
Sister Ann.
His sister Ann. Florida State played a really good, from what I saw, played a really good defensive game against Colorado.
Yes.
So the question, I mean, especially because Colorado, Georgetown couldn't stop Colorado. Now, Not that Georgetown was anything of a team. I know a lot of people liked them to upset Colorado, but you know what? The whole team took a knee during the national anthem. They didn't deserve to win the game.
This is true.
And they got their ass kicked by Colorado. This is... Either Florida State wins this game or they get trashed in this game. Since I picked them to win in the bracket, I will pick them to win here. And I will take... What was the over-under? 144. I will take the over.
Okay. Well, as we look, Colorado scored 96 in their first game. They scored 53 in their second game. Obviously, Georgetown sucks defensively. I said that in our...
Can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
They sucked defensively except when they played Creighton in the Big East tournament title game.
Yeah.
When Creighton scored like 6 points the entire game.
Pretty much. And then Florida State didn't play a great first game.
No.
But I feel like they probably came out and just like, yeah, but, you know. Then they stepped it up, played a better second game. Michigan, I honestly thought should have lost to LSU. I watched that game too. LSU kind of controlled that whole game, and then very similar to Rutgers, they kind of just stopped making shots at the end.
Mm-hmm.
They shot very well in the first half. I think they were still losing after the first. I think they were losing by 8 or so.
It was a back and forth first half. That I remember. It was a back and forth first half.
Yeah. And then like Michigan ended up pulling away a little bit at the end of the first half. And then it was kind of all Michigan in the second half, but LSU was in there. This is a tough game. I do like Florida State to cover. I do like the over.
Okay.
Who do I like to win?
Did you have Michigan losing here to Florida State? I believe you did. You had, because we both had the same thing. We both had Florida State and Texas in the final.
And you picked Florida State. I picked Texas.
Yeah. So are you going to stick with the upset like I did?
Yeah, I'll stick with it just because I think Michigan, A, is definitely the weakest 1 seed, and B, the Big Ten really does suck.
And what's the chant with Michigan?
And Michigan still sucks. No matter what says. Best story I have about that, hockey, whiteout, we're playing Notre Dame. 1 minute left in the period, 1 minute, and Michigan still sucks. What?
Got it. All right. They, the last game, the 2 seed Alabama against the 11 seed UCLA, another Pac team. Alabama favored by 6.5 with an over-under 145.5.
Yes.
6.5, 145.5. Now, don't forget, this is going to be UCLA's 4th game.
Yes.
They had to play the play-in game against Michigan State. They beat them in overtime. Then they handled BYU seemingly easily. I didn't see any of the game against Abilene, but they won by 20. Yes. After Abilene beat Texas.
Yes.
And somebody told me that game that Abilene beat Texas, they're going to end up, they estimate making for the school $14 million because they won the game.
Wow.
Like, I don't know I don't know how they're figuring out that they make money off the game. Like, it's not, they're getting paid $14 million because they beat them. It's just because they won, I don't know, with additional merchandise sales maybe, or
TV rights,
because Abilene is in Texas. So anyway, Alabama or UCLA, 6.5 and 144.5.
I think this game
145.5. Sorry,
questionable. UCLA has basically had a walk in the park to the Sweet 16. Abilene came out, beat Texas.
Except Michigan State took them to overtime.
Yeah. So, you had Michigan State. But since, BYU, big whoop.
BYU, who was up 8 in the second half against Gonzaga the game before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Abilene,
Yeah.
So they beat Texas great, but they scored 53. Texas turned the ball over that game like 24 times or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came out and played the same exact game. They scored 47.
Mm-hmm.
Just UCLA didn't turn the ball over. Alabama, they beat Iona, big whoop. Put 96 on Maryland, but, Big Ten. So either team has kind of had a pretty easy ride to the Sweet 16. UCLA, I don't know how good they are. Are they good? Are they the real deal in this tournament? Maybe. Or are they just a joke and they got a somewhat easy ride? Is Alabama good? Yeah. But they also had an easy ride.
Mm-hmm.
I probably like Alabama in this game just because I think UCLA is so questionable. I don't think they're as good as they're doing in the tournament. I feel like if they had a better 6 seed to play, like if they played San Diego State, they would have lost. I don't know who the other 6 seeds were, but they probably would have lost to both of them as well.
Texas Tech was a 6.
They would have lost to Texas Tech. And I don't know who the other 11 seed was.
Drake.
They would have beat Drake.
Utah State was the... But yeah, Texas Tech was the 6 and USC was the 6.
Okay. I don't want to finish this. This isn't enough to save.
So okay.
I'll leave it on the kitchen counter for you right now, I guess.
So, yeah, I like Alabama in this game. What was the over-under?
145.5. How did an intruder get into your underground bunker?
He opened the door.
Mashed potatoes, have you ever had one of them?
No.
Share, please. Hello, if you're going to be on my show live, share.
Oh, you're still on.
Yeah.
Yeah, long show tonight. So, who do you like?
I like Alabama to cover that.
Okay.
You said 145.5?
Yes.
I like the under.
Okay.
I don't think UCLA is going to come out and score a whole lot. I think this is definitely the best defense they've seen. I think Alabama will get out to somewhat a quick lead. So it'll end up being low scoring.
Okay. I do not think this is the best defense they've seen.
You can say Michigan State.
Or even BYU. What Alabama team shows up?
That's
is it the one that played so-so against Iona? Or the one that came out and actually wanted to play against Maryland and hit a lot more shots? Of my favorite play here of side or total, I like the over more than anything. The question is, again, which Alabama team shows up? UCLA is, I think, good for at least 70 here. So if they score 70, I would need Alabama to score 76 to get the over. I certainly think that is doable for them. But I could see it being a 78-70 type game. So I think the over is going to cash late, but I won't pick the side. So, top part of the bracket, who's making the Final Four?
As much as I hate to say it, Gonzaga. They're playing too good, I think.
I will say this. If any team of the 3 of them that are there, Creighton, USC, and Oregon, I would think USC probably has the best chance of beating them. If Oregon beats USC and they play Gonzaga, first team to 95 wins.
Yeah, kind of.
If it's USC, how will... Gonzaga probably hasn't played nearly as good of a defensive team as they're going to see in USC all year.
Right.
So Gonzaga would probably still beat them. I will pick Gonzaga to make it to the Final Four, even though I had Iowa beating them here in a high-scoring game.
So did I. I liked Iowa to beat them on the revenge.
Yes.
And Garza, I figured he'd score 40.
Down here, who's Who's going in the Final Four?
This one's just as hard as the right one.
I will stick with Florida State because that's who I picked originally.
I'll pick Alabama to be different.
Okay. I mean, if you forced me to make a play now, I would probably take Alabama as well, but I don't want to jump off my prediction of Florida State.
If Gonzaga becomes true and they make it, I don't really think it matters who comes out of this one.
Okay.
As much as I would love to see, Alabama or Florida State beat them, I just don't think they can match them offensively.
Okay.
So,
I don't know if there's any team left in the tournament that can match them offensively.
Maybe Baylor, that's about it.
And they beat...
Maybe Houston, maybe.
I don't know. Gonzaga right now, as each round goes on, I think they're becoming a bigger favorite to win this.
As much as I would hate to see it because boring, no offense, I feel like they're boring. Their conference sucks. Yeah, okay, they played Virginia. Yeah, cool. They lost in the first round to Ohio. Cool, they beat Iowa. I think at home. And the other team they played. Forget what other team they played.
Well, they played 3 teams in their bracket.
Yeah, I forget who the other one was.
They played Virginia, Kansas, and Iowa. 2, 3, and 4.
So, and I already said Kansas sucks in big games, so no surprise there.
Yes. Okay, so that is our show for tonight. Very long show. I probably bored you all to hell.
I had a fun time.
I wasn't talking.
I like
to
analytics.
You. Analytics.
I like talking about sports analytics.
Okay, very good. Hey, Jason, how are you tonight? I'm good, Richie. Thank you for asking. Better than I was today when I was slaving away at my job.
At least you don't have to drive there.
Yes, I get to roll out of bed, come down 24, 26 steps, and go to work.
Yeah, long commute.
Long commute. Yes.
I have a longer commute to class.
Yes, you do. Except any of your online classes, then you have a not a longer commute.
Yeah, from that bed to this desk, about 3 steps.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, next week, if the final 8 games are Monday and Tuesday, which I think they are, we might just do a Thursday show next week because we won't get anybody to watch Tuesday while the basketball's on. I already know that. So
I would even have basketball on during the show.
Yeah. And I don't want to do a Wednesday, Thursday setup. Unless if there's news that's calling for it. So we'll see what we do next week.
Gonzaga, Baylor, and Michigan all get upset. And Syracuse gets through.
No, Oregon State, baby.
Oregon State, Syracuse, UCLA, Florida State, and whoever's facing Gonzaga, Villanova.
Oregon State all the way.
Oregon State going to win it all.
All right, so we will see you sometime next week. And remember, as always, where we go one,
we go all.
See ya.